Hello everyone, I hope you're fine and doing well. This is Seerat, CEO at Cambridge International Organization, Mazar Sharif campus. And the Cambridge University CELTA certified instructor and tutor in Afghanistan. I've decided to have a video on TOEFL IBD reading section. In this video, we'll focus on some tips you need to take in mind to score high and do well in this test. And also, we'll focus on the importance of the strategy used by the experts and by the people who score high. And at the end of this video, we'll have brief information about the update we have in this test, which is applied from the August 1st, 2019 on. Most of the people think that being proficient in English means scoring high and doing completely fine on the TOEFL IBD test. But I'm afraid they're not totally right. They have only half of what they need for being good at this test. The other half, and the very important one, is having good strategies. These strategies are either learned from the experts, or maybe the guide you have, or are developed by yourself with the experience you have. And the number of the tests you take, the more tests you take, the more experience and the strategies you develop. So for an inexperienced person, it's really necessary to be under the supervision and the guidance of an expert. Let's focus on the tips. I'll have only a few tips for you to do well on this test. At the first step, if you want to be aware of what is coming, so if you want to be prepared for what is going to come and what you're going to focus, face and encounter on the real test, is the passage types. We have different topics, and the passages will be of different topics. You don't need to go after each and every one of those topics. The only thing you need to know is the general category of those topics, and ET has done it for us, facilitated the way we can get ourselves familiarized with the top of the passages. All the topics used by the ETS and also in the TOEFL IBD test are categorized, and they all fall under three broad and main categories. The first one is the expository passage types. Expository passage types explain the topic. The only thing they do is the explanation. They explain the topic and you read it, and you just go and solve the questions. The second type is argumentative passage types. Argumentative passage types advances a particular point of view using supportive evidence. So knowing this will help you a lot in anticipating the information and data inside that passage. The third one and the last type is the historical passage types. Crystal clear, that is from the name. In historical passages, the excerpt in that will have the past events. The text will be focused on what you have had in the past. And the main focus will be the past events and the things you have had in the past. So, the next thing you have to know about is that what organizational scheme you will face and you will have in those passages. Maybe there are 4 schemes that you will mainly have on the passages and also in the test that you have. The first one is a classification. The information inside the passage will be organized like as a classification. You will have classes. The second one, you will have cause and effect. There will be something like a cause, and you will be focusing and you'll be reading the effects, and the cause and effect means that. And the third one, the problem and solution, and it's one of the very common ones and a very popular one. There's a problem, and the rest of the passage will be the solution for that problem. And the last one will be compare and contrast. Compare means talking about the similarities of one topic or maybe 2 topics, and the contrast means talking about the differences between those two topics. Knowing all these things, you can easily get over the problems you have, or maybe you can solve a big chunk of your problems that you may face while taking the test, and you can be more prepared taking the test. And the last thing, not the last, the second last thing I want to tell you here is that you have to be familiar with the question types as well. Mainly, we have two broad categories of the question types. The first one is the basic information and inferencing. The second one is the reading to learn question type. In this question type, you will have 8 other questions. So, generally we have 10 question types. The first one, vocabulary, factual information, inference, rhetorical purpose, sentence or text insertion, negative fact, reference, and paraphrasing, or we have some other names for it, like sentence simplification questions. Unfortunately, I cannot talk about all of them one by one here. If you're willing to know more about it, you can take the classes or you can take the book and study and get ready for that. And the second broad category is the reading to learn questions. Under this category, we have 2 more questions. They're always the last questions on the passages or in the passages and on the test we have. The 9th question is the prose summary question. And the last one, fill in a table. Fill in a table question, and also one of the others we have here, refrain questions, they have not been repeated for several times. It means we have not had in our tests, but they do exist. So it's very good to know about them. And prose summary question is one of the very common questions and the very, very repeatable questions that you will have at the end of your passages. And it's really mentionable that you will have these 2 questions at the end of your passages. And the last thing I want to talk about here is that from the August 1st, 2019 on, the TOEFL IBD test is not going to be the same as it was in the past. I have made a list, old versus new. This is what we had in our TOEFL IBD before, and this is what we're going to have from now on. Before we had 3 passages, mainly all the reading sections, they consist of 3 passages. But either in the listening section or maybe in the reading section, you will have 1 extra section or part. That part is called the experimental part, and that is unscored. And the problem comes here. You have a problem when you don't know which one is the scored one. So please, don't waste your time on thinking which one to solve, which one to work on, and which one not. Because you won't know which one is the unscored one or the experimental section part. So, let's get to the point back. You had 3 to 4 passages per reading section. Fortunately, that has not changed. You still have 3 to 4 passages every reading section. So before you had 12 to 14 questions each passage, but that is the huge change in all TOEFL IBD section, test. That now you will have only 10 questions per passage. Every passage, instead of having 12 to 14, and 14 was the very common number of questions, now you will only have 10 questions. So it's clear that with the decrease in number of the questions, you will have less time than you had before. Before we had 20 minutes per passage, now we will have 18 minutes per passage. It means if we had 3 passages, we would have 60 minutes. But now we will have 54 minutes. And if you have 4 passages, we will have 72 minutes. And before we had 90 seconds for each question, but now we have only 105 seconds for each question, which is the amazing part. It means you will have more time to think about the question. And it's not always about like giving 105 seconds for each question. And one of the strategies and techniques I wanted to talk at the end about, that was the time management. After doing all these things and then being good at everything, like being proficient in English and then being familiar with the question types and the passage and the scheme types, what you really need to work on, that is the time management. Because TOEFL IBD test is a time test. If you want to do well in this test, so you have to have a good time management. Speaking of the time management, one question, for example, vocabulary question, won't take more than 30 seconds to find the question if you're prepared for this test. So the remaining time that you have, you can save it and you can allocate it like later to the other questions which are time-consuming questions. So that is all for today, everyone. Thank you for watching. And if you want to be trained and be prepared and get preparation courses under the experts and then supervision of the brilliant instructors, you can join Cambridge. Catch you back later with another lesson. Bye-bye.